In this video, we are going to talk about one of the offerings from Amazon called the EC2. So, as usual, this is the way I usually go into a particular service. I just specify it in the search and it gives us the corresponding service. And what we are trying to do, we are going to go into the EC2. EC2, the full form is Elastic Cloud Compute, because there is a double CC there. Instead of ECC, they have named it as EC2, depicting the two CCs coming there. And what exactly is the service of EC2? It is a virtual cloud or a virtual server that is given to us. And what do we do with it? We install or give our applications, or our production applications will be deployed into these virtual servers. So virtual server means what? It will have a CPU, it will have some memory, it will have a hard disk, it will have networking capabilities, and of course it needs to have an operating system. So this is what virtually we are getting the full whatever we have in our laptop, we are getting it this in a cloud environment. That's all. And EC2, the understanding of EC2 is fundamental to understanding cloud infrastructure. So let us go ahead and go to the EC2 and see what exactly the console looks like. And you can see here the this is the new one, and you can see here the new EC2 experience. Previously, the console was a little bit different. And you can see what are the resources. You get all the details of what is currently running as of now. So it may take some time, so let it take it. So you can see the resources that has been selected. And if you want to launch a new instance, you can do that. And then what is the health, what exactly is happening with our instance, whether it is working fine. So without we doing anything, all these information is available to us. And you can see already some 16 instances are already running. Somebody has created some instances that there are 113 instances already, but only 16 instances are running as of now. Okay, and we will talk about all these things in the meanwhile. So the basic fundamental idea is what? We are creating a virtual cloud where we are going to deploy our application. That is the fundamental and only use of EC2. So before discussing anything, let us go ahead and launch an instance. And how do we do that? Click on the launch instance. This will open up the launching dialog. The first thing that we need to select is what is the operating system that we need to use. You have a plethora of operating systems to choose from. You can either go with the Amazon Linux. You can use many distributions of the Linux. You can use Red Hat, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, Debian, or we can use Microsoft Windows 2. But let us keep it very simple. We are going to use Amazon provided image, and AMI means Amazon machine image. Linux users may not have any problem with understanding what is an AMI, because suppose we have a laptop and we want to install the Linux operating system. We get this AMI in the form of a .iso, and you can create your own machine images if you want. If you go to this community section here, you can see a lot of guys out there has created a lot of machine images based on their requirement. So an image can contain not only just the operating system, but a lot of packages that may be useful. So you can play around whenever you get time. Advise you to not play around with the CTS code. I would advise definitely to create a user of your own at some point. But if again, in a cloud infrastructure, just by looking at these things won't incur any cost. Some instances has to be running. The cost is based on the hourly usage of CPU, the bandwidth, the RAM that we are going to use, and the disk storage. These are the four things that will incur cost. I mean, at least for the EC2. Going forward, there are other costs that will incur. We will come to see that later. But then looking at it will don't incur any cost. As of now, as a user of this particular user, I am not incurring any cost right now because I haven't created any resources yet. So let us go back again, and you can see if I have created any specific Amazon images, then those images will appear here. But I haven't created any images, it is not coming here. Let us go back to quick start. I will always try to select to minimize the cost, whether that particular image is free tier eligible. So when you log in or create an account for the first time, there are some specific infrastructure that doesn't incur any cost. So and you will see that it will have a badge of a free tier eligible like this. So in our case, we will be using all those which are free tier eligible. Okay, so of course, if you try to use any of these things, this is also free tier eligible. But most, if not all of the time, we will be using Linux as the operating system. So let us go with the Amazon Linux. And you can see this is the 64-bit x86 architecture. I will select it, and then it will tell what is the type of infrastructure that you need, how many CPUs you need, what is the memory limit that you need, what is going to be the elastic block storage, I mean the hard disk that you are going to create, and how should be the network performance be for your instance that we are going to create. And you can see this T2 micro is free tier eligible. That means, see, for the first 12 months, you can use this for free. And every month, you will get 750 hours for free. I mean, 750 hours is more than enough to learn anything. But that is not the case with any of the other offerings. If you look at the T2 small, it also has one CPU, but it gives 2 GB of RAM. And if you go down, the size just increases exorbitantly, and you will have a lot of costs associated with it. So please don't go to any of these places. We are content because we are learning. Once we learn, once you become the employee of a CTS, you will definitely will start playing with all these bigger instances. But we don't need anything as of now. So I am going to be content with this T2 micro because I am free trial eligible. Next, you can see that there are 3 buttons: the previous, review and launch, and the next for the configure instance details. So you may be forced to click on the review and launch, but don't do that because there is a little bit more configuration that we need to give. If you just click review and launch, then it will take all the defaults and launch the instance. We don't want to do that. So I will click on configure instance details. Here, it will specify what exactly is the networking aspect of accessing our instance. So here, I will go with all the defaults. We will talk about VPC in a while. VPC means virtual private cloud. I mean, it creates a virtual subnet for the IP address, and how many instances we can put into a particular subnet based on the subnet mask. All these things are specified in the VPC. But as of now, I am happy with whatever is being offered by Amazon by default. And here you can specify, we already told you we are in the Ohio region. We have 3 availability zones. I mean, 3 data structures, data centers are there. You can choose any of these, whatever you want. But again, as I told you, I will happily get the default availability zone that is proposed, or where this instance is going to be decided by Amazon itself. And I will keep everything as simple as possible without any changes. And you can see how many instances you want to launch in a one go. So as of now, I will just give one. And you can see there is an auto scaling group. If you remember in one of the mails, we are not supposed to use the auto scaling group because it will just scale these instances based on the CPU usage, memory, and all the stuff. We don't want to do that. So we will keep everything simple here. And next, click on add storage. So the operating system needs to be put somewhere. Once we start deploying our application, that application needs to be in the hard drive. So that is what we are. What is the storage that we want to use? And this is going to be the root storage, the primary storage for this particular virtual cloud. Just like our laptops have hard disks and SSDs, the virtual cloud also needs a hard disk. And where exactly this is going to be mounted, specific to a Linux, and some snapshot of some image which will be formatted in the Linux. And then what exactly is the type of volume, whether you need the HDD or SSD. There is a magnetic standard which used to be the HDD stuff, but nowadays nobody uses HDD because HDD is much slower than SSD. So we will go with the general purpose SSD, and this is the performance baseline. Minimum of this many input output operations per second is what we are getting, and the maximum throughput burstable up to 3000 input output per second. So this is really SSD is much faster. And then it is specified when we delete this particular instance that we are yet to create, whether we want to delete this particular storage along with it. If you are having some applications deployed there and if you have some data to be preserved, you don't need to check it. You need to uncheck it. But we are learning here, so let it remain like that. So we are not changing anything here. We are just explaining what exactly to be done to create an EC2 instance. Now let us go on to the tag. Tag is just metadata for the instance that we are creating. Okay, so for example, I am going to use this instance for deploying the to-do application that we used for learning the REST API stuff. Then you can give a key and a value here. So for example, I'm going to use this application. I will give a key of application and I will give to do. Means that the to do application will be deployed in here. Again, I can go on adding the tag. For example, the name, which is standard. So here, if I go back to the mail that I have received, they are specifying the instance name must be prefixed with the batch code. So of course we know what exactly is the batch code. It starts with the IJ, I don't know, INTCDE21 IJ038039. So because they have already specified to go about it, so I will give the same standard here. So let me give IJ what exactly? IJ 038 or 39, whichever. So, and then they are telling us to give the name who created and what is this XXX, whatever you want to give. So, because I am creating it, and let me give this instance my name of Krishna Kumar. Okay, I mean that is what you need to put. This is some metadata, that's all. And then the last thing, which is one of the important thing, is the security group. So once we create this particular instance, how are we going to access this instance? For example, if you are going to deploy the to-do application, we want the HTTP to be open, right? So we can add, as of now, I'm not going to add HTTP right now, but just want to give the significance of this security group. You can use, if you have already created a security group, you can use the existing security group. But here we are going to create a new security group and with the name. And what should be the name? Let me give it as, what was the name given to the tag? Let me go back, IJ038. I will use the same here, IJ038. SG security group will do, right? IJ038 security group, just to identify. And what exactly this security group is all about? This is a firewall. A set of firewall rules that control the traffic to your instance. So we are telling here who can access our instance. And we are telling that only SSH is now supported. Definitely you can use, click on the add rule and you can select any of the protocol that you want. For example, I want to use HTTP or HTTPS. Let us go with HTTP, and then the protocol will be TCP. What is the port that we are going to expose to the outside world, and then who can access? The 00 means anybody can access. The first, it is the IP version 4. The second is IP version 6. Or you can select it. I don't. So anywhere is what this is all about. But if you want to restrict, you can definitely use my IP. Means I will be able to access this particular instance only from my IP, which Amazon is good enough to understand. This is my public IP I am using right now. So, but then you don't need to, if anybody needs to use your application, you can go with the custom or maybe anywhere. But I am not going to create the HTTP right now. We will do it later. So I have created a new security group with a particular name so that I can identify it later. So next time I'm going to create this SG group, I don't to create a new instance. I don't need to create the new security group. I can select an existing group, provided that instance also needs to conform to this particular security group. Okay, so if the new instance need to have some other protocols to be executed, then you need to create a new security group. That's all there is to it. And then the last step is we will get a chance to review the selection before launching it. So you can see the Amazon image that we selected and the security group name that I have created, the instance details, the T2 micro, the subnet, and all the stuff, and then what is the storage that we created, and the tags we gave to our application. So we gave two tags: the application, which will go, this is just tag, okay, nothing to do with any specific functionality, just tag for our own benefit to. And of course, because they have already told to give a name according to the cohort, I am giving the name of the cohort, the cohort group ID, and the name who created this. So then it is time to launch it. So let us launch it. So the last step is that if we need to access this particular instance using SSH, for example, we may have to upload our application. Our to-do jar file needs to be uploaded to this particular instance. If that is the case, we need to create a key value pair. This is based on the public private encryption key. So you can see a key value consists of a public key and a private key, and you need to have access to this particular private key. And again, when you create your own private instances, not here, when you have your own private credentials to Amazon, and when you create, you need to keep this private. Don't give this access to anybody else, or else they can access your instance. So here I'm not going to use an existing, I'm going to create a key pair of my own. And coming to the standards, I will just give IJ 0038 as the key pair name, and I need to keep it. So I'm going to download the key pair and I will keep it in some location in my system. So we need this. So make sure that you download it. Okay. And give any name. It doesn't matter any name. You can give any name, but you need that particular key pair to access this particular instance using SSH. Once that is done, then launch the instance. If you haven't done any mistakes anywhere, your instance will now be launching. And if you want to see, just click on the ID here. That will forward us to the instance that is getting launched, and it is loading. Let us wait for the instance to get launched. So here there is a filter applied. The instance ID will be this, and that is dynamically given by Amazon. We are not going to do anything, but you see here we got the name specified here, and you can definitely change it later. And the instance is now running. We don't have any alarms. That means our instance is up and running. So if I click on it, a lot of details are available down below. So here in this video, I just wanted to give you a heads up on how to create an EC2 instance. the description of which we will give in the next video. So bye for now.